Hey everyone, Caleb with Antique Book Collective, and today I'm getting to you guys with a heat gun. So guys, I know these might not look like they belong anywhere near books, and honestly, maybe they don't. They can definitely cause damage depending on what you're doing. But in some instances, in case of this book right here, there actually is a purpose for a heat gun. Of course, I'm not talking about getting those industrial grade ones that get to 5 million degrees. You just need a little bit of heat. But guys, sometimes you get an antique book like this one right here that has some tape on it. As you guys can see, it's got a lot of its spine that's loose. I have another video coming out very soon for you guys on that. I actually just picked up something for you guys on that one that I'm going to be experimenting on this book with, which is going to be all sorts of fun, all sorts of informative. But as you guys can see, it has tape. It actually had a lot more tape on it, which I have already removed. I have used the conventional method of just peeling it off. I've used the method I'm about to show you guys, and of course I've tried 100 other things removing tape on other books in the past. Guys, a lot of the time I would recommend not taking the tape off of a book, but sometimes the tape is doing a little bit more harm than good. In the case of this book right here, it's a Bible, an old Syriac Bible, which is absolutely gorgeous, really cool, fun history to learn about that. You guys could do that on your own. But in the case of this one, there was some tape that was definitely doing some more harm than good, sorry. So I figured, okay, I should take this off on this particular one. But a lot of the times, guys, you will do a little bit more harm than you will be doing good by taking the tape off, because it does cause some damage. You are going to rip off some leather. So guys, right here they had sort of the conservator sort of side of things. I mean, it's almost like duct tape, but it's supposed to be the conservation tape that they use. But I peeled that one off. It took off some leather, which isn't good. This one, honestly, I could have left on, but because I'm going to be reattaching the spine, I wanted that off so I could do it correctly. But by and large, when you get the good conservation tape, it's not really necessary all the time. People will see that it's repaired, and honestly, I'll still tell the buyer that this thing was repaired. Of course, I won't tell them who did it in case they don't like how it was done, but that is what I'll be doing. I had the other piece of tape, but I dropped it, so I can't show you guys that right now, sorry, but that I had another piece of just the plastic tape that I peeled off with the heat gun already, so I will obviously show you guys the tape that I'm done with once I'm done showing you guys how to use the heat gun for it. So for this particular demonstration, guys, I'm using the Rex Betty. It's a very, very notable brand, guys. It's the random cheapest one on Amazon. I'm using this particular one, and guys, it has two different settings right here. So I tried it with the 2-line one, which is their hot one. Don't use that one on the books. Yeah, don't do that. But I also did it with the level 1 one, and that one did pretty good for me, guys. However, do not hold the heat gun too close to the book. Don't do that whatsoever. You will do more harm than good. And guys, if you want to get this particular one, I would honestly recommend getting this particular one just so we can make sure that we're doing this quote unquote right. Of course, there's a million ways to take tape off of books. I've tried the just conventional peeling method. I've used all the different unstick things like undo fluid and Gooby Gone, all that sort of stuff. I've done 1,000,005 things to get rid of tape. I find that heat is the best way to do it. I've tried cold as well. Sometimes cold does make tape release a little bit. Sometimes it makes the tackiness of the tape fail. But in the case of this particular one, heat is the option that I'm going down, and it is something that you guys can do. But again, guys, I want to do this with a huge caveat. Don't do this on every single book. You actually can do more harm than good. You have to decide, is the tape harming the book? Is it harming the value? Can you actually improve the book, improve its value by removing it? I am sure I'm going to hear a lot of people complain, oh, you're not supposed to do anything. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people are going to be like, it's the same as like gold and silver. I have some silver back here. You're never supposed to clean it. You're never supposed to do anything. But sometimes, on the rare occasion, you actually can help the thing out by cleaning it up, by doing X and X a thing. Or at the very least, let's say it's a family book that you have and you're having it be rebound and you don't like the tape on it, or you're having a certain thing repaired on the book and you don't like the tape on it, take the tape off. It's your book. At the end of the day, these things are yours. You will be selling them. If someone doesn't like what happened, they can freak out and not buy from you. There's 1,000,005 things that can happen, can't happen, all that sort of stuff. For me, this is just the route that I'm taking because I believe I can increase the value of this book beyond what it already is by taking off this rather unsightly tape. And guys, initially there were, let me think, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, at least 5 pieces of tape on this particular one. We're down to just 2 right now because I wanted to save you guys some time for this particular demonstration. So guys, the first little bit that I'm going to show you is not how I would do it. When I did this and how I'd recommend you guys do this is to set it down on, excuse me as I move the calculator, that was from another video, I would recommend you guys set your book down on actually let me show you the tape part, on a table, and then have the nice flat surface. That way you're not dealing with holding the book, and as you're holding this, while you're holding the heat gun, you might eventually get to the point that you're holding too close. So having it on a table, a nice flat surface, allows you to make sure that you're only focusing on the heat gun, only focusing on the tape. You have both hands to deal with this thing properly. That way you'll limit the risk of damaging the book. Another thing that I want to say before we dive into this, guys, is as I was actually experimenting on this particular book doing this, I actually brought the heat gun a little bit too close, and I don't know if you guys will be able to see this. I don't know if it'll focus, but there was actually a little part of the leather that was just a tiny little fringe, and when the heat gun got too close to it, it actually did like make it curl, and it's not quite crunchy, but it definitely does look like it did get a little bit of damage from it. So that is something that can happen when you're using too much heat on a particular surface. You can actually cause some damage to it, obviously. But with all that said and done though, guys, let me just show you what I have learned about using this particular thing. And guys, this is not how you're supposed to do what I'm about to do just now. This is just because it is better to do on the camera for you guys. So right off the bat, guys, I pick a corner that I want to start in, so one of the edges. So right here, I have a whole lot of surface to go off of, but it looks like it's actually loose. So actually, let me show you guys up close before I bring out the heat gun. So right here, we're already loose. It looks like the only part of this tape that's attached is honestly like a centimeter right here. And then on the other side, it looks like it's already loose, which means we are mostly just dealing with what's on the spine right here. And actually, look right here, guys, you can already see that this part of the tape is loose. So you could see all that sort of stuff with this particular one already. So because of that, that's one of the reasons why I'm removing this tape. It's not doing a whole lot in addition to just being unsightly. It's just not pulling its weight anymore. So with that said, I'm starting out with this particular one. Because this one's already loose, I'm not going to worry too much about heat gunning this part. So we're only going to focus really on the spine and the cover right now. So guys, right off the bat, I'm just gonna turn it on. It'll take some time to heat up. This one actually heats up very quick, which I was actually surprised about because we've all used some heat guns that take like 7 years. But shooting my arm right now, yeah, it's already warm enough. And honestly, guys, this is about as close as you need to get to do it. So let me just say that's about 6 inches. And just on the light setting, the not hot setting, just hit it with this for a little bit of time. You don't want to get too close. You don't want to get it too hot, or else you can damage the book itself, especially with leather where it can singe. So I've done this for a little bit. I'm just testing right now on the corner. Basically, guys, you're going to peel it like you do any tape that you're taking off. So just doing that right now, and I am getting some peeling, but it's not hot enough just yet, so I'm hitting it again just to get it to temperature. So guys, it is a little bit of a waiting game. It does take some time, but it does help you get the book's value a little bit higher. So I'm sorry for all the noise. I got my microphone right there, so I'm trying to not shoot the microphone itself with this. That'll be all sorts of noisy. But yeah, I'm just going to do this, and actually I might get a little bit closer. Guys, you can obviously get closer or further. Don't get too close. Again, you will cinch the book, but this is something that we can do. And something I find is that the adhesive on the cover itself, sorry, not on the cover, on the tape itself will actually sort of change color once it gets to a hot enough temperature that you can more or less safely peel it. So I'm going right now, and I actually think I might be jumping the gun, but I'm going for it. And oh yeah, guys, that's the good stuff. So I'm actually going to cut this tape right now to show you guys, because I think it might be easier to show you guys with it cut. So right there, I'm cutting it. All right, so I'm going to hold it on my finger so the camera hopefully focuses. So on the bottom end, guys, you can see that there's a lot less of the leather that came off. Of course, there still was leather that came off. I, again, am telling you guys, there will be damage to the book when you take off any tape. That's why you shouldn't tape your book in the first place. But as you guys can see, the bottom part is what I just used the heat on, but the top part is what just ripped off naturally as the tape was like moved around, and this is the kind of damage that you would have gotten if you peeled it yourself without heating it up first. So that right there, guys, is a really good indicator of the kind of damage that you are preventing, sort of, by like removing the tape a quote-unquote better way, or right way, however you want to call it. But it still will do some damage. But with that said, honestly, guys, I made my job a little harder by cutting it, but I can deal, don't worry. But with that said, though, back onto this. For the spine, same treatment as what I already did. Because I cut off that part, I don't have a little bit of a tab to pull on, so I'm actually going to start back on the other side just to make sure that I have something to pull with. But guys, again, same methodology, just going to heat it up first. You don't need to heat up the entire piece of tape first. You don't want to rip it off all at once. Just little bits at a time to make sure that you are doing as little damage as possible. And once this is all done, I'm going to show you guys basically the damage done to the book, and I wouldn't be surprised if you guys actually cannot tell where all the tape actually was. So with that said though, back to the heat gun. And I'm not going to do a whole lot of talking as the heat gun's going, just because I'm sure it's going to be funkadoodle for my audio. So there is that, but I'm just going to heat this thing on up. And guys, I am watching the tape as I'm doing this. I'm watching the leather around it. I'm just making sure that nothing bad happens to this book. I'm trying my best to make sure that I'm not harming it as I'm trying my best to conserve it. So just doing a little bit of this. I could see right off the bat that it's not stuck on the entire thing, which is good for me. It means it'll pop off very nicely. So watching, and guys, if you do this long enough, as in like at least 30 seconds, you will actually see that the tape, like, it actually starts to look almost like it's wet, and that's just because your heat gun is actually making all the stickiness, the adhesive, sort of liquefy a little bit and lose its stickiness, which is exactly what we want to see to have it so we can actually safely remove the tape without damaging the book. So I'm just going very slowly, and I'm just peeling off what feels loose. Like, once you guys get to the part that it is not fully heated, it will actually get a little bit harder to pull on, and that's when you obviously stop pulling, or else you're going to rip off some more of the cover, and you don't want to do that. So with that said, back onto this. And you might want to, you guys saw how I had a little bit of a tail there. You might want to cut off the tail if you guys are doing this, because the tail could, worst case scenario, get sucked back up into this and start a fire and burn down your entire warehouse. But obviously for me, I'm not doing that right now, just because I'm trying to make this not boring for all of you guys. If the house does burn down, we'll get some good YouTube views though, if nothing else. But again, I'm just doing this, and as you guys can see, the leather is curling up a little bit, and that's because you're not supposed to be heating up the covers like this. You're not supposed to be doing all this sort of stuff to make the book last as long as it should. And honestly, I think I actually got a little bit too close with this particular one, and that's one of the reasons why it curled like it did. So I will have to do some like leather conditioning or stuff or something to actually get this leather back to the point that it's safer to deal with. So I actually did mess up a little bit, guys. I messed up. I'm sorry. Obviously that happens, especially when you're on video, but that's basically the sort of thing that I'm going with on this sort of thing, guys. So I'm gonna do this next one really quick. Hopefully not going to damage the book any more than I already have, but just nice and quick, hitting it. That last one, guys, as you saw, it curled, and that, I would say, is probably because, besides just the heat, I did get a little bit closer than I ought to have. So that's just in like live action, guys, what can happen if you guys do this wrong. So keep that in mind as you guys are doing this to your books, because again, you can do some damage. It will cause some damage. So with that said though, I've got this one. Oh yeah, that's perfect. Just gonna get that one going, and as you guys can see, the entire spine is loose. That's why they taped this on in the first place. So this is something that will be problematic for me. Hitting this side now. This way I just get the whole spine loose and I don't have to heat the entire book up anymore. But I'm going and I'm going. And I'm actually going to end the video after doing this part right here, guys. Because I don't want to waste your time for like another 5 hours of this. But you guys basically got the good gist of this. Like, you have to be really careful. You have to hold it at a good distance. Don't expose it to any heat you don't need to, or else you might cause things to curl, like you guys saw me do on this one. Going. I actually messed up a little bit. I didn't heat it up enough. I'm sorry, guys. That first little bit there. Actually, no, that was already loose. That's why it pulled up like that. We're good. Whew, I didn't mess things up. But with that said, guys, I'm going to set this spine down here. I'll do some stuff there to reattach it, all that sort of stuff. I might not use this particular book for the test of the new thing that I got for you guys to test out. I might do that with a different one, just because this one might need some extra work to uncurl this curl that I caused. But with that said, all that being dealt with, I can't actually move this thing anywhere, but I'm going to show you guys the book itself, and I challenge you to tell me exactly where the tape was that we took off based on just the damage that you guys can see. So let me just hope that this is focusing correctly. So as you guys can see, we have the spine area, we have the hinge actually right here, then we have the spine. Obviously there's no leather on the spine now, so that's one side, here's the other, and if you guys are looking at it from this far away, you might be able to see the top spot where we took off the conservation tape stuff, you might see a couple other spots that aren't great, but end of the day, it looks a whole lot better than it would if you just went in and ripped it off like an absolute psychopath. So with that said, though, let me actually walk you guys through where I actually took it off, that I can actually see myself in person, and I could see it, guys, because I did it. I know exactly where it was, you know. So down here, we actually have a tiny little spot where we lost some leather. Part of that is actually from what was already loose, but another part of it, I can actually tell the part is where I lost it right here. Some of the places, guys, where you do it, it'll still actually be a little bit tacky. So I'm sure you could hit it with a bunch of different chemicals to get the tackiness of the tape off if you guys want to go the extra mile on this. But for me, I'm actually okay with it being tacky. This is actually an ex-library book, so that already has a diminished value because of that. Guys, ex-library books are not worth nothing, but it can definitely cut down on their value. But with that said, that's the first part. The next one is right here. This one was... this is one that I think I might have taken off with you guys. I don't remember for sure. Next up, we have this one, which I took off the old-fashioned way, which left some damage. I think that was this one right here. Let me actually check really quick. Nope, I took that one off with the heat gun. I guess it was this one. I don't know, somewhere. Sorry, guys. But then we have another spot right here, which I did take off with the heat gun. This one right here that you guys just saw me take off. And then, of course, the conservation tape one at the top. So, yes, there are some definite spots. In fact, on this backside, you can also see some of the rectangles where we lost some leather because of the tape. But end of the day, with the repairs that I will be doing to this, I do think that this book not only will look better, not only will I actually be able to use it and open it up and not worry about like ripping things up because the tape was just ripping things about because it wasn't fully secure, but it's going to be really nice for just using this book. Like for the next user, it's like, wow, I can actually touch and feel it. I mean, they will actually be able to use it like this, whereas with how it was with that tape, you wouldn't be able to touch the spine. Like you'd have to set it down on a table and like pray that you're not going to ruin things. So with the repairs that I'll be doing, it's going to make things a whole lot nicer. So with that said and done though, guys, thank you for watching. Be sure to share like any awesome ways that you guys know to take off tape off of books, because I am all sorts of open to figure out new ways to do this that are less damaging, because again, guys, I caused some curl. I hardened this leather up, which will make my job a little bit harder for reattaching it, but end of the day, what I will be doing will be better off than what it previously was. So with that said though, guys, please be sure to share what other methods you guys have to take off tape. Of course, this is just one of the many methods. This particular method, guys, I actually took from conservation people that do stuff for old photographs, old art pieces, whatever has tape on it that is paper. I did it for, based on that because, guys, paper is a little bit more fragile than leather. So I was like, okay, if it works for paper, it should work pretty well for leather. And I've heard of, just faint whisperings, other people doing this for books as well. So I was like, okay, I'm going to give it a shot. So that's why I ended up testing this one out. This is why I found it to be the best way to take tape off of a book so far. But of course, guys, I am all sorts of open to figuring out new ways that are less damaging to the book to do this. Honestly, I don't know if there will be a one-size-fits-all solution to take care of this because there are so many different kinds of tape out there. So potentially there might be a tape-by-tape basis for this. I don't know for sure. But again, I hope this video is helpful. I hope that it helps you guys save some books or improve some books. If it did, please be sure to drop a like, guys. Likes do help the channel. They help me get along and get more views, all that sort of stuff. And if you guys want to learn more about antique books, how to store them, how to hopefully save them, all that sort of stuff, be sure to subscribe. You can do it there, you can do it down there, all that sort of stuff. You guys can hit the join thing to actually pay a little bit of money. That helps me keep the lights on for this channel, helps me keep things going and get a little bit extra content for you guys. And with that said and done though, guys, be sure to check out one of my other videos there, and I'll see you in the next one.